this is for you if you're going to get one of these and you want to play it. And what we'll do today is we'll do a full deep dive review. In that, we'll take it apart, basically. Just realised how many screws in this blooming thing. The other thing I didn't mention is that that'll always fall out as well. You will definitely hit the switches and you will definitely turn the pickups off. Anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at this thing, shall we? I'm quite excited. Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. Good to see you again as always. You're very welcome. So today we've got another classic vibe to look at, which is very exciting. We do love a Squier Classic Vibe. Brilliant guitars, time and again. They deliver way beyond the price. So, you know, a fabulous endorsement, you know, a minute in and already I'm saying how brilliant it is. And I haven't really looked at it. So I should probably take a look at it because this one might be rubbish and I might have to withdraw that endorsement. So anyway, this one, of course, is, as you saw from the thumbnail, the FSR, which I think is factory special run, Classic Vibe 60's. Jaguar. Jaguar, as they say in the UK, Jaguar, I believe, as they say in the States. I'll, from here on, refer to it in whatever manner comes out of my mouth, because it may vary. I'm unpredictable like that. But look at it. It's an offset guitar. It's affordable. This, I paid £430 for this. Bought this from Guitar. This is listed on the Fender website at £449. I was a little bit disappointed to discover that Guitar have already dropped the price to £419, but there you go. In my eagerness to make sure I bagged it, I paid £11 too much, apparently. But yeah, that's always the way it goes. I've been looking forward to this one dropping for a while. I saw it was on its way. Until now, the 70's version's been available, which differs because it's got the block inlays and the bound neck, which I'm not a massive fan of on the Jaguars. This, like the original kind of, this is the original kind of vintage design with the dot inlays. So yeah, I was waiting for this, saw it, came out, they sent me an email, it's in stock, click, buy. Here it is. Let's have a look at it. It comes in 3 colours. This one, the Olympic white, it comes in a silver sparkle, and it also comes in the charcoal frost metallic, according to my notes here. So, yeah, apparently this is what all the cool kids are playing these days. There was a lot of chat just this last week on YouTube, amongst the YouTubers, been talking about how the kids these days are playing Fenders and Squiers and are not interested in Gibsons anymore. And this is based on the story that Coachella, all the indie bands, you know, there weren't really any kids playing Gibsons, which is hardly surprising really, because Gibsons are way beyond the pocket, the wallet, the money, the affordability of kids and most adults. So, you know, I think obviously Epiphone is what the kids are probably playing as well, but they don't seem to have been mentioned in this discussion. So I'm glad I just mentioned it, really, and just to add a little bit of balance. I'm sure Epiphone are killing it as well. Anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at this thing, shall we? I'm quite excited. So yeah, let's get stuck in. What we'll do today is we'll do a full deep dive review. In that, we'll take it apart, basically. We'll do all the stuff. We'll measure everything. we'll poke everything around and we'll play it loads, okay? And if you need to skip, you know, if you're in a bit of a hurry and you really haven't got time to listen to me bang on about knobs or whatever, all the timestamps are in the description box. So skip forward to something that you want to know, like the neck profile and measurements, or you know what the pickup readings are and stuff like that. All the timestamps are there. If however you've got a half an hour or so to spare, grab a drink of your choice and kick back and let's get all nerdy with it, shall we? Yeah, cool. Let's do it. Basic construction and hardware. Here we go. It's got a poplar body, as you can see, beautiful, nice, comfortable Jaguar, beautiful offset shape, lovely belly carve. It's got a maple neck, as you can see. It's got a beautiful Squier vintage tint maple neck. These necks are just wonderful for some reason. As you can see, that's got the skunk stripe. And it's a C profile, and I think it's kind of like a medium. It feels like a medium. We'll measure it in a bit, so you'll see. I think they call it a slim, but nah, it's not thin. As I say, we'll measure it, and you can see for yourselves. But it's got a 42 millimeter at the nut though, apparently, and it's a bone nut. It's got an Indian laurel fingerboard, which looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Looks pretty nice. I like in that. Narrow, tall frets. It's got a gloss urethane finish, so it's tough. I mean, it's tough as old boots. If you're going to gig this, you know, that'll take a bit of a beating. And also, obviously, I say they're matching the headstock with the colour, but I don't know. To me, that looks like it's a little bit off. It's not a perfect colour match. It might just be me, but I couldn't. I don't know if the cameras will even pick that up, but I kept looking at it and thinking, is it? Isn't it? I don't know. It's a minor detail. It looks very cool though. It's got the large headstock, which was the 60s style Jaguar headstock. The later ones were a little bit bigger, like the big Fender 70s headstocks. It's got a vintage style, Clusen style tuners. Love those. And these wonderful, you know, Fender locking style things, which are great, really good for string changes. Now, let's talk about the tremolo and bridge setup on Jaguars and Jazzmasters. We reviewed a Classic Vibe 50's Jazzmaster not long ago. There's the link if you want to check that out in a bit. Out of the box, that was brilliant. No problems whatsoever. It was amazing, actually. You know, played that a lot in the review, whammied it and everything. It was great, stayed in tune and everything. Unfortunately, it's not the case with this one. Out of the box, it just wouldn't stay in tune for a minute. So this is for you if you're going to get one of these and you want to play it. It's a simple fix, actually. And what it boils down to is that the tremolo on Squiers, Jags and Jazzmasters, there's no locking mechanism on it as such. The Fenders have a locking mechanism, so you can lock them in place. So they can only go one way, effectively. This design, and hopefully you can see this on the cameras, the design on this is, you know, you give it a bit of whammy action, and it's got a floating bridge that moves with the strings. And, you know, it's not a great design. There's loads of ways you can improve this, which we won't go into detail today. What we'll do today is hopefully show you how to make it playable. And then, you know, as you owned it for a while, you can decide what you're going to do to improve it if you want to. But so this rocks backwards and forwards, and it's, you know, it's just not as balanced as a Fender one. I mean, a lot of people, a Fender, a Stratocaster one, for instance, you know, that's got a different design. A lot of people have it flat, so it'll only go one way. Some people balance it so it goes both ways. And I think that's problematic, but this is even more problematic because the design isn't as good. And if you've got it floating like that, when you're trying to tune it, it's got no reference point. So, you know, if you tune one string, it's constantly adjusting itself or trying to adjust itself, and it just won't stay in tune. So how do you fix that? I'll show you. All you got to do, this screw here adjusts the tension on the spring under there. So all you got to do is screw it and lock it. You see that arm is gradually moving up. So it's just moving it back to the point where, we move it back to the point where it won't move anymore that way. There you go. It's now locked back. So pretty much we'll do the same job as the locking version of that. It'll only move forward. The bridge is locked back now in that position. So there's a lot more stability in that, and you'll be able to tune that up now and play it. As I discovered, and I played it for quite a long time yesterday, and it was great, stayed in tune. So there you go. Don't despair, fix it like that, get a screwdriver and you're done. Okay. The other thing you probably will need to do, actually, I shouldn't forget to mention, is if you need to raise the bridge, which you will have to do, because this has got two little screw posts there to raise and lower the bridge to set the action. And these adjust themselves while you're playing it because they're loose, it's too loose. So what I found after a while is that the action was too low and it was all buzzy. It's a little bit buzzy now. So you need a little Allen key to raise it to the point where it stops buzzing, or you're comfortable with. The problem is they don't provide an Allen key with this. So that'll be really frustrating. That'll be really frustrating. I'm sure it is really frustrating for loads of people that have bought one of these. You need a 1.5 millimeter, I'm pretty sure that's a 1.5 millimeter Allen key to adjust the bridge. I mean, you could probably do it. I mean, the things that you do if you haven't got a tool like that, a simple tool that you need, you get some pointy scissors down there or whatever, you might be able to adjust it, but don't do that because you'll ruin it. Just be aware you will probably need a 1.5 millimeter Allen key. Hopefully everyone's got one of those, but I know they haven't. So I think Fender really ought to include the tools that are needed to adjust something as fundamental as the action. Because, whilst it can be assumed that everyone's got a screwdriver somewhere, or even a selection of screwdrivers, I'm not convinced that everyone will have a selection of Allen keys the right size. 1.5 mil, pretty sure that was 1.5 mil. You probably need to get one of those because there wasn't one in my, you can't really call it a goodie bag. It had a truss rod Allen wrench in it, but that was it. So anyway, we'll have a closer look at that bridge in a minute. We're going to take the strings off now and pop the scratch plate off and see what's going on under there. Before we do that, let's weigh it. Right, here we go. 8 pounds, 4 ounces, or 3.74 kilograms. So it's a nice weight. Good. So much easier to get off with these tuners. So now obviously I can just have a closer look at the frets. Were pretty dirty, these frets. You notice, you get a real gritty feeling when you start playing the guitar out of the box. It's really gritty, and if you try bending them, it sort of, grinding. And it's just dirt on the frets. Show you. You should see if you just rub them, you'll get some dirt coming up. I mean, I've played this for a couple of hours now, so I've got the worst of it off, to be honest with you. But you can, you can see the dirt that's coming off of those. what I'm going to do with this, because the fingerboard's really dry as well. So I've got some lemon oil. Before I put the strings on again, I'm going to give that a drink of some, I use lemon oil. That's what it's meant for. It says fretboard. It says fretboard ultimate lemon oil. Some people say don't use lemon oil, but it says fretboard on there, so I do. I have. I'm sure there are better things, but you know, whatever. Makes it smell nice anyway. So yeah, I'm going to do that in a bit. But the frets, we'll do some close-ups so you can see the frets now. The fretwork, yeah, I mean, it's tidy. There's no sharp ends whatsoever. Really cool. Now I can hear, you can hear that rattling around, see? That's the floating bridge. It's got little pivoty it's got little pivoty posts on it, you see? There you go. Can you see those little pivoty posts? And just obviously, you know, adjusting the height. That's how you adjust the height. You can see how loose that is, okay? Quite loose. And they're rattly as well. Which is, you know, not brilliant. Okay, so what we'll do to improve that, when we put this, before we put the strings back on, is we'll pop some thread lock on these threads to stiffen it all up a bit. Okay, we'll do that before we put the strings back on. Before we take the scratch plate off, let's just measure the pickups. Here we go. Controls on 10. Okay, middle reading. There you go. The reading 2.92 kilo ohms. So now let's just go to the bridge on its own, which is that up. Bridge on its own, 5.60 kilo ohms. And for those that care, the inductance is 3.16 Henrys. Now let's go over to the neck pickup on its own, 6.07 kilo ohms. Inductance is 3.59 Henrys. So there you go. And just to remind you, the reading, the resistance of them together, 2.92 kilo ohms. I'll go through all this switching and stuff in a minute when I plug it in, and we'll go through what all the switching all options do. Okay, right, now we're going to take the scratch plate off now and have a look underneath and see what the wiring looks like, basically. Just realised how many screws in this blooming thing. What should we tackle first? This bit. So pots, you can see alpha pots. Can't see the resistance on them. Apparently someone told me that it's on the top. I don't know. Anyway, I would guess that, I would imagine, being single coils, that these are 250k pots. Looks like it's got a capacitor and a resistor on the tone pot there. Just give a close-up shot of that so you can see it. There you go. Quite a decent amount of shielding under there. Shielding paint anyway. A little bit of loose wire I've just salvaged. I think next we'll go up here. I'm pretty sure these are the 3 screws that hold this plate on. These 2 screws there and these 2 screws there hold the switches onto the plate. So you don't need to, if you unscrew those now, the switches will fall off. I'll show you what I mean. I've had one of these off before. I think I'm right. Here you go. Here you go. So, wow. 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 I'm excited. There you go. So these are just the same, really, alpha mini pots. It's just another tone and volume control with kind of, you know, the wheels that stick out. They're just knobs, basically, to turn it up and turn it down, and a little two-way, you know, circuit board switch there. And so just got a, appears to just have a capacitor on. That would be the tone one there. It's quite tidy, you know. And again, inside, there's plenty of shielding in there. It's quite tidy. Pop that back in. Next, I don't know about this. I don't know if this comes off on its own or not. I think this might be the first time I've ever been under the hood of a Jaguar, actually. Now, thinking about it now. Yeah, I don't actually know what I'm doing. It's all part of the fun, isn't it? Will this come off on its own? Hey, look at that. That's that. So there, yeah, we've got three little two-way switches. The one with the capacitor on it, I think that's a capacitor, isn't it? That is actually, again, we'll show you this when we plug it in, but that's meant to be a kind of just a little EQ switch, I'm pretty sure. A little a filter. I don't know if it's low pass or high pass. I always get it the wrong way around anyway, so it's irrelevant really. But it's a pass filter. There you go. That's that. Still nice little tidy job. Okay, now the scratch plate. Right, so I've got a feeling that the pickups will stay where they are and the scratch plate will come off on its own. Yeah, so there you go. So you don't have to take the scratch plate off, actually. What we have just discovered, unless you want to change it. You can take, yeah, that's interesting. So you can access all of the electrics. My impression of all this is that it's pretty good, you know, tidy work. There's nothing cheap about it, if you know what I mean. So these pickups literally just screw to the body. So they're not really adjustable apart from, let's see if there's any, yeah, they're coming up a little bit actually. So I think there's probably some kind of compression foam or something underneath. Let's have a look. So you can raise them a little bit and lower them a little bit. I'm guessing. Let's have a look. Yeah, you see that spring, it might even be springs. Look, see that? Just long screws that I'm pretty sure do screw into the body. And yeah, foam. Yeah. Oh, foam and springs, look. Oh, look, that's interesting. Kind of like Zebedee pickups. You know Zebedee? Right. So let's pop that back. Well, let's see if we can pop that back. I see, yeah. Without breaking it, catching the wires and stuff. Probably easier said than done. Let's see if we can find the hole. There you go. I don't think I'll bother taking the other one up. I think you get the idea, don't you? It's fascinating when you think about these things. Obviously, these are based largely on the original designs, I would assume. You know, there must be hundreds of better ways of doing it than a bit of badly cut foam and some springs, but it works, doesn't it? So, right. So that's under the pick guard. What I'm going to do now is screw it back together. I'm going to take the plastic off because I'm definitely going to keep this for a while. And if you see me review a guitar and leave the scratch plate on, it's because I'm pretty sure I will be selling it. It doesn't always work like that, but with this, I like this guitar. I mean, that's such a cool guitar, isn't it? So there you go. The plastic is coming off of the guard. I'll do this in my own time because I'll have to take these knobs off to get that one off. Screw it back on. Oil the fingerboard. Give the frets a wipe at the same time. And then we'll plug it in and we'll go through all the switching and stuff. Handily, the Allen key will also take the knobs off. It's just a shame they didn't include it. So here's the neck profile and measurements at the 1st fret. And here's the neck profile and measurements at the 12th fret. As you can see, it's quite a nice C profile. So now back to these bridge post screws, just to give them a little bit of help to sort of stay in place. I'm just going to put a little bit of thread lock on them, which is, I don't know if you can see this, but I think you just put a dab on there and a dab on there, and then we'll just give it a bit of screwing in and out just to soak it up a bit. I mean, obviously I'm going to have to adjust this when I put the strings on, but cack-handed. I'm actually left-handed, by the way. I play guitar right-handed though, fortunately for me. It's the way I learnt. Got to dodge the bullet there, don't you? Right. So that thread lock will just give them a little bit. I mean, that will go hard, but obviously you can, you'll still be able to adjust it. So there you go. That'll help. Pop that back on. Some people go as far as to put insulating tape around these posts to stop it actually rocking, but yeah, look into, you know, various ways you can improve this. But what I showed you earlier by, you know, locking that back, and if that stays in the back position, you should be fine. Shouldn't have any problems. Let's take that off as well while I'm here. I'll do that in my own time. Now I'm going to put some strings on and then we'll plug it in and we'll come back and we'll go through the switches and we'll see what it sounds like. See you in a minute. Here we are. Okay, new set of strings. So I've put thicker gauge on. I've put power slinkies, Ernie balls, which are 11 gauge through to 48, just because it gives it a little bit more tension. Being a short scale, it had 9s on it, as we said, and they're a little bit too slinky for this. There's not enough kind of pressure to keep them all, you know, in place on the bridge and stuff. So the thicker gauge definitely helps. So I'd recommend that. Unless you're, you know, new and your fingers are a little bit raw, stick to the thinner ones until you've got your calluses on your fingers. Right, let's go through the pickups. 3 switches. The one nearest the neck is the neck pickup. So on, fully cranked on the guitar, no pedals, Vox AC 15. Dimed a little bit on the top boost channel. So it sounds like this. And obviously you can clean that up a little bit. Just roll off the volume. And it's a little bit more sedate. And the neck, the bridge, turn it again. The bridge is that middle one there. Fully cranked. Third switch there, that little slider there, this is a low cut switch. So actually it's just a kind of a pass filter, I think you call it. And low cut, I think it's self-explanatory. It's meant to cut the low, a bit of the low anyway. So let's just try it on the neck, because I think we'll hear it more. Off. On, off, on. As you can hear, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I'm sure it will in other circumstances perhaps, like if you've got dog ears or something like that, but I can't hear a huge amount. But it's, you know, it looks cool, doesn't it? So. Actually, I'm being a bit facetious. You can hear a little bit. But I maintain that things like this, it's like the dry switch on that Revstar, they don't make a significant enough difference, well, for me to care really, because when you're playing it, you just would be point to using it really. There's such a small change that, you know, you'd do that with your amp, wouldn't you? Anyway, if it's a little bit too toppy for your ears at that time, you just turn the top down on the amp rather than want to switch it in and out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But so I tend to leave that in one or the other positions. It don't really matter which. So we'll go for that now. No, we'll go for that. Oh, that's better. Right. Now, this here is, you all know what they call it, the rhythm circuit or the dark circuit. And all that does is cuts out these controls here. To demonstrate that, we'll turn all those off and then turn it on, turn the rhythm circuit on. And it's just operating the neck pickup. And these are a volume control and a tone control. So with those full up, it should sound the same as that. Yeah. So effectively you can preset the tone down perhaps. So you've got that dark. All the way off. It's a little bit dark. I wonder if that changes it. I don't think it does. Right. Just obviously some more options really up on that position. So you can muck around and have a few different settings. Preset, I suppose. Let's go back to the lead circuit. Tone control. Sort of sounds more like a volume control. It's a muffler by the sounds of it. Yeah, muffles it nicely. It doesn't really work, does it? Okay, electronics, not the strong point. I think the pickups, these are Fender Alnico single coils. I mean, it's difficult to say if they're any good or not really. With this kind of with this demonstration anyway. Let's play something and have a listen to them in context of playing something and see what they sound like, and then maybe we can make a judgment. Let's do that. one more thing. As I said earlier, this comes with quite light 9-gauge strings, which is great for beginners, but not so good for tuning stability on this setup. So I replaced them with 11-gauge, 11 on the high E through to 48 on the low E, I think it was. What I found is, obviously you're going up, 2 gauges, and the nut's not cut for that. It's cut for presumably 9-gauge. So I had to do a little bit of work on the nut. So be prepared to do that as well, because obviously the strings will pinch if the nut slots are not big enough. They'll stick and you'll have even more tuning issues, which I quickly discovered. Fortunately, I've got this little tool that I bought. It's little needle files. Yeah, hopefully the camera will focus on that. It's a little collection of needle files that I bought on eBay for about $5 ages ago, because I thought, well, that might come in handy. And it has. It's just a little thing. It's kind of non-destructive. Actually, what it sort of reminds me of is like a collection of different string sizes, which is exactly what you need. Last week I mentioned, just if you need to work on the nut slot a little bit, you can do it with an old string if you've got one. The old string you take off and just put it in that slot and do a little bit of flossing, and it will just, it'll just ease it up a little bit. Make sure that the string that you're putting on doesn't stick. An easy way of doing it is to obviously just do that. Put a bit of pressure on the nut and it should slip back to pitch. And if it doesn't, you'll know you need to do a bit of work on the slot. This guitar, I don't recommend this for the inexperienced beginners, for the reasons that we've discussed really in this film. The setup, isn't great. This was introduced in 1962, the Fender Jaguar, and they weren't that successful. I mean, they made it till 1975, and it wasn't until the punks came along and discovered how cool it was that it became popular again. But this, being a 60's reissue, has got all of the quirks of the original. Smart modification for this is to change the tremolo for a Fender one, which will go straight on, and that's the lock-in one. But actually, if you do what I've suggested, that does pretty much the same thing anyway. And you'll probably noticed in the playing, I haven't actually used that. I don't think I've used it at all today, and I'm not really inclined to. I'm not a big whammy bar user anyway, and I'm not confident that it'll stay in tune if I do. So the other thing I didn't mention is that'll always fall out as well. I'm sure there's a way to fix it, but I haven't actually discovered or bothered to find out what that is yet. So I tend to not really bother with that. Right, okay, but that aside, it's a fantastic guitar. This is a vintage reissue of the 60's Jaguar. So, along with it come those quirks. Fantastic basis for modifications, Squiers. And this is a brilliant little project guitar, if you fancy learning about this stuff, because the basic nuts and bolts, if you like, of the body, the way that it's made, I'm really impressed with how nice this all fits together. Yeah, it doesn't come across as cheap at all. And the neck, as I've said, is really nice, and there's nothing wrong with the fretwork and the tuners. So the basis of this is fantastic. What lets it down are the electronics. The pickups seem to sound okay, didn't they? again, it's difficult to really judge whether or not they're, how good they are, but they sounded okay. The electronics, the tone and volume controls definitely let it down, but that would be very easy to replace in this. I should also just mention the potential switching issue when you're playing it. Now, unlike a Stratocaster, the volume control's in a decent position there. It's not in the way, so you're unlikely to hit the volume control while you're furiously strumming your punk riffs. However, you will definitely hit the switches and you will definitely turn the pickups off. That's all you got to do. So you've got a little window of opportunity for your strumming there. So, forget playing Ramones with this. And I used the Jaguar once with my band when we were jamming a while back, and I just kept on turning it off. We were doing a song by Reckless Eric, Whole Wide World, and I was bang, 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 and it was just, where's my guitar gone? I turned it off. So yeah, that's probably why you'll see on the Johnny Marr signature, he has a slider, a 3-way position switch, which goes sideways, so you can't do that. I don't know what they call them, but they do the sort of modern versions of this. So if you really dig the Jaguar shape and the vibe and everything, there's there are improved versions. Well, depending on your point of view, but improved in as much as the switching position is and method is changed, and the bridge, they'll have hardtails and tunematic bridges on, which would be a way better option for beginners or those that are not prepared to play around the quirks of the original yet fantastic Fender Jaguar. Hopefully I've done enough playing on it for you to see that it covers, we should cover pretty much any genre. I think there's a lot of people that have proven, that offset guitars like this can pretty much do it all. Yeah, pretty versatile guitar. I'd have a guitar like this in my arsenal for the single coil stuff over a Stratocaster any day of the week, because I think they're just cooler and they sound nicer. That's my personal opinion. I understand that's not a popular one, but I'm not a Strat man, but I'm definitely a Jaguar, Jazzmaster, Mustang, offset. Yeah, all day long. Yeah, great guitars. So if you're still here, thank you very much. Thanks for watching all this stuff. Supporting the channel, that means everything. Watching the videos, and you probably noticed I never really ask people to subscribe and like and hit the bell and all that sort of nonsense. I figure that if you're enjoying what you're watching, you'll do that stuff anyway. And just watching it is great. If you do want to support the channel more, however, there are a couple of ways you can do that, and I'm just going to do a little plug of this now because there's a new thing that YouTube have just launched. I'll tell you about that in 1 second, but as you may know, or you may not know, and if you don't know, now you will, I've got a subscription channel, which is there, and that's basically all of this content. You can watch it all, but without any adverts in it. So the cost of that is just $40 a year. Okay, and not only that, I'm also trying very hard to put some additional content up there to say thank you to those of you that are prepared to take that extra step and support it. And not only that, but there's also a forum on there. I've got my own forum going on the subscription channel, which is gathering momentum now. More and more people are subscribing, and it's basically a place to swap info, tips, pictures, talk about the gear that you've bought or you want to buy or you're thinking of buying, amps, guitars, and all sorts of other stuff. Really, there aren't any rules on there. I'm sure I'll have to implement some as time goes on. But at the moment, it's like the Wild West of guitar nerdery. Okay, so you might want to check that out. It's a 30-day free subscription, okay? So you can go and have a look. It won't cost you a damn thing. If after a month you think it's for you, you know, carry on. And it will cost you no more than $40 a year, okay? So I know that's a lot of money, but if you think you can afford that, and obviously that supports the channel and keeps the channel free of sponsorship and free gear, I'm delighted that I'm offered on a weekly basis the opportunity to review all sorts of gadgets, quite frankly, for your entertainment. But it's not really something that interests me. I want to review guitars and tell you what I think about them rather than what someone's paid me to think about them. My solution to being able to continue to do that is to have the subscription channel. And now, if that isn't for you, YouTube have just yesterday announced the launch of the new Super Thanks, which is a bit like Super Chat, but you can do it on videos, on pre-recorded videos rather than live streams. Because this isn't a live stream. I've already made this and edited it and decided what I want in there, and now it's coming to you. If you like it and you want to say thank you by a small donation, you know, if it's been helpful to you in some way and you want to support the channel, then Super Thanks is in the, you know, is under this, well, it's probably about there, isn't it? I'm guessing it's about there. It's got a little heart on it and it says Super Thanks. It says Super Thanks. And if you click that, it'll probably ask you how much you want to donate. I think it's $5 upwards. $1 would be fine as far as I'm concerned. Just you watching is fine as far as I'm concerned. But if you think, oh, that's not, I like that so much, I wanna contribute $5 to the next guitar that Colin buys to review. That's all you need to do. And it will light up and it'll be like a beacon that you have donated that $5 or whatever it turns out to be. And I will say thank you. I mean, you might have noticed that I try and reply to everyone anyway if they leave a comment, or I definitely try and acknowledge everyone anyway, because I think that's because I appreciate it really. I'll try and continue to do that. If I ever, you know, if you leave a comment and I don't reply at any point, it's not because I don't want to. I pretty much read, you know, everything that get a notification that comes through, I read it, and I really do appreciate. I'm going to stop rambling now because I really have banged on for way too long today. I'm sorry about the plug there. I don't do it very often. I've done it now. I've got that out of my system for a while. Have a look at the subscription channel, okay? You're aware of Super Thanks. Job done. Thank you for watching. Come back next week. That's the most important thing, honestly. Come back, watch the videos. You know, no matter how many subscribers I've got, if they don't watch the videos, this is really irrelevant, okay? The most important thing that you can do if you like this content is keep watching the videos, okay? Either on here or on the other channel or wherever. Keep watching the videos. Keep letting me know what you think. And thanks again. See you next week, I hope. Find out what. I don't know what I'm doing next week yet. Let's finish making this one first and then we'll work it out. All right. Cheers for now. See you soon. Ta-ra.